Welcome to a special edition of Harness Central. I'm Harold Howe. I'm here at Classy Lane Training Center. We're reporting a tragic fire last night, which claimed 40-some horses. I'm here with Bill O'Donnell from COSA just to offer a few thoughts. Bill, you know as much or more than anybody at 11:30 in the morning. What's your understanding of what we know?
Well, I don't think we know a whole lot yet. The fire marshal's been here, and they've been doing lots of investigating and taking pictures of all these barns are identical. So taking pictures of what might have happened, and they think it happened in the, I guess it'd be the northeastern corner of the barn, and it spread very, very fast. It's these barns are they're just wood and aluminum, right? They go quite very, very fast. But there was 44 stalls, I understand, these barns, and there was 2 horses that were racing last night that they came home late, luckily, and they missed being in the fire. But I was here about 12:30 or 1:15 this morning, and it was just devastating.
And the trainers involved were Ben Wallace, Roger Mayotte, Chantel Mitchell, and Dan Legacy. Is that correct?
And Chris Casenzo, yeah. They all had, I think Ben, they said they had 15. Roger had around 8. And Dan he had, I would say, 10 or 12 there. And Chantel had 8. And Chris had about 4 or 5, they said.
One of the things that came to my mind is that this is as good as it gets in all of Canada for a stabling facility. I mean, tragic things happen, and if it happens here, it can happen anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a first-class facility. It's probably the best facility for standardbreds in Canada, and compares to any place in the United States for sure. And these barns are fairly new, and if you look at them, I mean, all the wiring's conduit and stuff. I mean, it's a first-class operation. It can happen, like you said, anywhere.
Obviously, the loss of the animals is foremost. And you hate to do it, but there is a monetary value, and with that number of horses, 40 head, what are we talking? Somewhere $15 to $20 million.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I could name 2 horses there that are worth $1 million. That were in that fire. And
one of them being Apprentice Hanover.
Apprentice Hanover, he's without a doubt, I mean, arguably the best horse in Canada racing right up till now, and they had another 3-year-old there that won a bunch of money this year, and they just brought back 3 days ago and start back training for his 4-year-old campaign. And then all these yearlings that people got, God knows what kind of money into them, right?
And not a big percentage would probably be insured either. Well,
with today's economy and what we've gone through the last few years with the cancellation of the slots and people really struggling to make ends meet, I would highly doubt if they were all insured for sure.
And it's going to have an impact on racing too, because we're not overflowing with horses.
Absolutely. Probably of those 40 horses, there was probably half or more were racing at the present time. So it's going to it's devastating.
Yeah. Tragic for everyone. Well, thanks for your thoughts, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Harold.
All right, Harold Howe at Classy Lane Training Center. On a personal note, I'd like to offer a few thoughts about today's tragedy at Classy Lane Training Center. And it was a tragedy by any standard. On a positive note, and we're looking for silver linings here, there was no loss of human life. And the industry and the world at large needs to be happy about that. However, it was heartbreaking, and is heartbreaking, to think about the loss of 42 horses in the most tragic of circumstances. Then it's also heartbreaking to think about the loss of businesses and livelihoods of the individuals involved. Based on history, it's a long haul trying to rebuild, and in some cases, they won't. There was some good fortune, though, as well. Scott McEnany is in the barn next to the ill-fated barn. And he made a comment to me today that had that fire taken place a week ago when we had some very strong winds, he probably would have lost all 16 head, because the billowing smoke would have been so thick it would have blown right in, and his horses would have been asphyxiated. But fortune was kind to him, and that didn't happen. And then there was the horse Kinetic King from the Roger Mayotte stable. He raced on Monday night. Didn't do very well. He didn't start off the year on the right foot in terms of a racing perspective, but he was racing late in the card, and by the time he was brought back to the stable, it was on fire and his life was spared. An interesting aside to this, I was speaking with Jamie Millier, the owner of Classy Lane, and his heart was warmed by a telephone call from Premier Kathleen Wynne, wishing her condolences and so forth. And as Jamie said, she wasn't his favorite person on the planet, but he welcomed that call. And Brad Grant, who lost Apprentice Hanover as one of 4, made an interesting comment to me. He said that the harness racing people, if nothing else, are resilient and will carry on because they really have no choice. It's always been that way and always will be. And on that note, I'd like to close. And from the Harness Edge, we wish the condolences to everybody involved, and we look forward to seeing you bounce back. I'm Harold Howe from the Harness Edge, giving you the Harness Racing Edge.